Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy. Daughter Judy. Jane is right. Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy. Daughter Judy. Jane is right.
Drawing George Jetson here. It's basically Hanna-Barbera's answer to the futuristic answer to the Flintstones. And it's funny because George is more or less Fred Flintstone, stretched out, a little taller and longer, with like futuristic clothes on instead of a cheetah skin or whatever. These characters are really simple. Which I guess makes animation easier and quicker. Pretty sure I didn't watch this cartoon a lot, but it does have some memories. It is kind of nostalgic. And I think this kind of basic character, like George Jetson, kind of inspired a lot of my drawing. If you look through my sketches that I did as a kid, like they're all kind of this sort of same kind of funny guy, big nose. Kind of look to them all. I'm just drawing this from a screenshot from a YouTube video. It's kind of a compilation called The Family of the Future, uploaded by Cartoon Lagoon. One of my challenges in doing these daily cartoon drawings is trying to find a good screenshot that's high enough quality where I can see all the lines. That's been really hard to do. Even with these simple cartoons, it's hard to see their lines. Well, that's the basic pencil sketch of George Jetson. He's super simple and quick to do. Yesterday I did Fred Flintstone. Here we are doing George Jetson. The list I'm going off of is just one I kind of compiled. I actually started by making a playlist called Vintage Retro Memories on my YouTube channel. And so the way the list was generated was I would think of a cartoon which would remind me of a different one and another. And after a while, I feel like it might be kind of comprehensive of everything we used to watch, but it's hard to know actually. Because I think every once in a while I still can find a video or a cartoon online that's I hadn't thought of before. but it's also my list is hard to keep track of because it's just from everybody else's uploads all across YouTube, and a lot of people they're getting copyright strikes, and so their videos are being removed or their channels are being shut down, and so that video disappears out of my playlist. And sometimes YouTube, like you can see what video was there, like it just says that it's gone, but this is what was there. But sometimes they don't tell you, and so it's hard to know exactly what video went away. And so after being frustrated by this after a while, I decided it would be better to have a master list on my computer and just document. So I typed them all up. And I'm kind of trying to do these drawings quickly because it's more or less break time for me at work, and so I don't really have a lot of time to spend on these. But I have noticed that, like, this is really the overarching purpose of these drawings is just to get me drawing every day. And since I love cartoons, and I'm really surprised actually how kind of brushed up I've been on my art skills just by doing these every day. I kind of noticed I was starting to lag a little bit, and my art muscles were atrophying. Just keep yourself drawing every day and keeping practice is a lot for you. Just finished Inktober 2 days ago. If you don't know what that is, millions of artists all over the world are now taking part in it. Some guy just started, a guy named Jake Parker. He was trying to challenge himself to do drawings every day for a month. So he called it Inktober, and I believe he started it as a hashtag on Instagram like 10 years ago. And I found it 3 years ago. This year was my third year. And it's amazing to see the artists that are out there. It really makes you feel like you've got a long ways to go. You can look at it a couple of ways. You can look at it as inspiration, or you can be kind of discouraged by it all. Me and my brother were both talking about how a little bit discouraging. Like you think you're kind of a good artist, and then you see who's out there, and you're like, wow, as great as I thought I was. Just probably good for the ego to really kind of burst your bubble. Get back to practice. I think that was the real thing for me, is realizing like, wow, I've got a long ways to go. I've mentioned a lot of my other videos just about how when I was in elementary school, all the kids called me the best artist in the class, best drawer, they always said. They would pay me to draw Ninja Turtles for them and stuff. And then in like middle school and high school, like I was one of the good drawers. There was others who were as good as me. Like there was a few of us that were the best drawers in class. And then in high school, well, actually in college is when I really started to realize like, wow, like I'm not even close to the best. There are lots of really good artists out there. And then when I started getting on social media and stuff like that and seeing other art just across the entire world, it makes you really feel like a small fish in a big pond. But the plus side of that is realizing like just looking at other people's art and seeing like, wow, like there's where I could get a lot better. Like for me, it's color. Not that I can always be practicing like line. It's actually line. The first thing was line quality. Like I, all grown up, I drew with a ballpoint pen, and one of my professors in college kind of told us that ballpoint pens are an inferior drawing tool, is what she said. Which I think she's mostly right, but there are some people out there who make the ballpoint pen into this immaculate tool. It's just mind blowing what can be done with it. But what my teacher meant was to try using different like tools and stuff. Like ballpoint pens are actually made for writing; they're not made for drawing. I think that was kind of what got me to explore a little more like ink pens and nib pen, like dip pens and stuff like that, which I really enjoy. And then I discovered a brush pen and like how much I love playing with a brush pen. We also learned in college about sculpted lines, which is kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm going around to this single weighted line around him and add some thickness to it, but it's not just thick all the way around. Like I tried when I first tried that in college, I thought, oh, thick lines are what's cool. And so I got a Sharpie and I was drawing some cartoons with a Sharpie. And then I was kind of like, I couldn't realize why my drawings kind of did not look good. And it's all about line weight. And so like when I drew with a Sharpie, I had the same line weight all the way around. And that's what is not visually interesting usually. Sometimes like all these rules can be broken, but what a sculpted line is it's thick and thin. And my art teachers in college tried to teach us how to really come down and put some thickness in the undersides, or where shadows are, where like elbows and just certain places where you can put that thick line can really make it stick out, give it some dimension. Overall, the drawing is just way more interesting with sculpted lines. So anyway, I started seeing like artists doing that and like practicing it. Really, you have to practice it. I'm still trying to do it. Like, and it has a lot to do with the pens you're using. Like this series, I'm using Papermate Flare, which is a really cheap pen, but I've actually found that I can get some real depth and stuff with my drawings. This pen. I'm still really just practicing like how to get the most interesting lines. But yeah, and then my next step is color. Like I have a long ways to go in color. As you'll see in a minute here, I'm going to color him with a color pencil. But I'm going to let this dry for a minute. That's the hard thing about these more felt tip pens is they take a long time to dry, and so the kneaded eraser picks up a lot of that ink. And then I've noticed when I sitting here trying to erase over it, it's like picking up some and then like putting smudgy little blots all over my drawing. And it just depends on how you want to use your art too. Like as a graphic designer, I'm always sort of in the back of my mind thinking, how's this going to scan? And how am I, like, if I want to color it in Photoshop or something, like, how am I making sure all my lines are closed and complete lines and stuff, and have high contrast. But like, if this is my ultimate goal is this piece of work here on the physical page, and I might take a little more time with certain things, but I know like one of my goals is to just take this black and white drawing and go scan it to use as a coloring page for my kids. And I know in Photoshop I can mess with the levels and I can take out like some of the, like even I can't get all this stuff erased. Well, in Photoshop I can just mess with the contrast and get rid of that. So there's that, and I'm going to go scan this real quick. So hang in there. I'm going to leave the camera going, and I'll be right back.
Meet George Jetson. His boy Elroy. Daughter Julie. Jane is right.
Okay, so here we go. A lot of, like I learned in college too, one of the classes I took was I think it was called illustration class. And there's you can't go into depth even in a college class with every single medium, but we did a short little thing on color pencil and just the best way to build it up and to use color pencil and stuff. And right now I don't really have the time to make these look the best color pencil sketches, but you can do amazing things with color pencil. Like even if you go to Instagram and just search the hashtag color pencil, and some people are using color pencil to do phenomenal artwork like photorealism and stuff. I would love to be able to get to that point one day, but it takes a lot of practice. These drawings probably aren't really stretching me because they're just flat color and I don't have a lot of time, so I'm just kind of throwing it in there real quick. Not really sure. Don't ask me why I chose color pencil for this series. I don't know. It just did, and I'm sticking with it. If you haven't watched my channel or anything yet, what I do is I find these characters off my list, I sketch them, I ink them, then I color them with color pencil, then snap a photo for Instagram. So the whole collection is on my Instagram. If you ever wanted to look at them all. I always want people to tell me like what their favorite cartoons were, or like cartoons that are nostalgic to them and stuff. So far, not many people have commented really on anything. But in the comments below, tell me what were some of your favorite shows growing up. What generation are you? Because that makes a big difference too. I'm one of the few years that rides between Generation X and millennials. I think actually, it's a very small little micro generation of us, and they base that on how we grew up with computers and how we actually have a significant part of our childhood with no computers, really. Not no computers, but really no internet. And then that came along in our teens and stuff. It's kind of fascinating how that affects your worldview and how you do everything, really. Well, since George has a white shirt and white shoes, once we get his pants done, that's all we got. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Go out there and draw anything.